Your circle will change as you accomplish your goals and level up. Everybody can't go.
And we live. Happy Wednesday and welcome to another Everybody Can Go Convo. I'm your host, Jessi Holley. And as you can see, today again we have me in a third install of this series where I'm coming and talking to you guys about some of the things that I'm seeing popping up online. You know, we all want to be fake deep, or we'll see like a post of a quote and it's like, oh, that's good, that's real good. And some of this stuff we kind of just take it with a grain of salt. We just keep scrolling, we'll read it and keep it moving, right? And some of these quotes, I want to go ahead and break them down and actually get into it and talk about it. So pardon my voice for this week. I know you guys can hear it's going in and out a bit. I spent a nice few days outside in the rain. So this is what you get when you just stay outside for hours on end, walking around, doing tours and different things in the wet air, don't have on a scarf, and are just having a good time with the BFFs out here in these streets. Okay. The mission was accomplished. All the things that we needed to get done, they did get done. What I didn't expect was for my voice to be gone the way that it is. But here we are. Okay. So even though my voice is a little bit raspy this week, that's not going to change the message. That's not going to stop what I want to talk to you guys about this week. And so I saw this quote. I decided to do this one because I've seen that it has been circulating for a few days now for me, maybe even a week or two. And so I decided to do a little bit of research into it. Everybody always trying to quote somebody, and it's popped up a couple of times this week that people have had, fake quotes that have popped up about them. I'm not going to shout out none of the messy stuff that people have posted over the past couple of days, the past week or two, that have been very, very terrible looking, like quotes that were supposedly said by somebody. But there's a lot of misquotation going around out here. And sometimes a simple Google search, it's not going to find the right information. So the meme that I saw that was circulating says, Tupac once said, we'll air quotes that, Tupac once said, just because you lost me as a friend doesn't mean you gained me as an enemy. I'm bigger than that. I just want to see you eat, just not at my table. My bad. No, I still want to see you eat, just not at my table. And so they called him a legend for it. So what did I do? I went to good old Google, and I went to good old Google Scholar, because the first thing that I wanted to know was, did he say this quote in an interview, or was it a quote from the book A Rose That Grew from Concrete, or The Rose That Grew from Concrete? And I can tell you guys that it seems that it has popped up on Twitter. It's came up on Reddit, and it's been in a couple of places on TikTok, Insta, Pinterest, and quoted in a couple of articles. However, I was not able to 100% verify that Tupac ever said this, but we're not throwing a baby out with the bathwater today. So whether he did or did not directly say the quote, it is still really good. And there was a handful of things that I pulled from it that I'm like, oh, yeah, nah, we got to talk about it, y'all. We're going to have to go over a couple of these things. Because when we're talking about Everybody Can't Go as a movement, as a brand, all of that, I know that if you're new around here, and or the quote can be easily misquoted, misused. It can be touted as being something negative, when at the end of the day, we are talking about becoming your best self. And sometimes that requires shedding some of those friendships, relationships, creating strong and hard boundaries with family members, creating boundaries at that job that you're at. with your teammates, with your boss, sometimes with the company that you work for. So the first thing that I pulled out of this, I kind of wanted to just really stick with it in the friendship category for today. I may take a couple of asides, but the first thing that I thought of was, okay, just because you're not my friend, that doesn't mean that you equal an enemy. And a lot of times when friendships dissolve or we talk about these friendship breakups, we talk about it as a breakup. The two people went in their two different directions. But many times we don't end up hearing the how or the why unless it's some big, like people crashing out, a big bang out, a big blow up, a bunch of drama surrounding it. And sometimes even with the case of that being the thing, that it's a bunch of drama surrounding it, that it's all types of accusations, different arguments, disagreements, a bunch of different things flying. That doesn't mean that you guys have to separate as enemies. Just because you're no longer friends, just because you're no longer super tight like that, just because you are no longer spending every day together, that doesn't mean that the person that you've separated from automatically has to be your enemy. You two could just be not seeing eye to eye. You may disagree on fundamental values and principles. And it could be just as simple as people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. A lot of times, those seasons that people are with us, it can last for years. And so because that season for that person being in our life or us being in their life has lasted for years, we're thinking, oh, you've been here 7 years. You a lifetime homie. You a lifetime BFF. That's my lifetime homeboy. This is my lifetime homegirl. Time out. Time out. Because that just because it was around for 7 years, 5 years, 10 years, sometimes I've even talked to people that have been good friends with somebody 20, 30 plus years. And they're like, yeah, we've been friends for 30 years, over 30 years. And we stopped being friends because of. And you would think, well, if y'all been friends for 30 years plus, 20 years plus, 10 years plus, like something dumb happened, y'all got into it, y'all banged out, y'all argued about something, and then just never spoke to each other again. And what I come to find as I sit and I talk to people who talk about these 20 and 30-year friendships that have dissolved, two things that I noticed. One, sometimes it's not always just one thing. It may be that one thing that is the last drop in the bucket or the final straw that broke that camel's back. And or two, the biggest thing that I notice is there is sometimes a shift, a life shift of some sort, where one friend goes in one direction, fundamentally in values, in principle, in spirituality, in some type of core belief, and they're making some type of major change and shift in their life, and it's not aligning with that other person. Or the other person is just kind of like, okay, well, that's great that you're growing, but I ain't supporting you in that. Like, I'm here for the old you, but bump this new you thing. You know what I'm saying? You too old to be changing, which that's never true. You're never too old to learn more. You are never too old to grow, especially with the like things that's changing like constantly around here. If you're watching or listening to me, you're on a piece of technology somewhere. And I know that you done pulled the update within the past week or two, because that's all Apple and Android do and Google do is make you a new update. So we at dot point dot point dot. Okay. So like just looking at the lay of the land, the way that things are quickly evolving all around us, for you to stay the same as a person. I'm talking about spiritually, socially, the way that you communicate, any of that. If you are staying complacent or you are staying stationary for too long, you will get left behind. Even if there are some other people to your right and to your left that are still there with you, okay, y'all as a collective got left behind because the world and time itself is moving forward, right? And there's nothing we can do about that part. So, um, when we're talking about the need to move on, because things are ever changing, things are ever evolving, and we can choose whether or not we will continue to grow and move forward as things around us do, or like I said, we could go ahead and just sit there in that one place. Now, let me not say we could go ahead and sit there in that one place. Because if you're listening to me, no, you're not. And y'all know I ain't. So we'll just go ahead and put that out there. Okay. So when you're talking about needing to move on, when you're moving on from those friendships or social situations, relationships, whatever, that you need to create some space, you need to set some healthy boundaries, or you need to go ahead and remove yourself or separate altogether. Some of the main reasons that came to mind as I was reading the quote were the need for building your own vision. Sometimes when you're building your own vision and you have folks stuck in those reason, season, and lifetime categories, you may befriend someone who you feel like, okay, you're in my life for a reason, and come to find out they're actually meant for a season of your life. Or there may be someone who you feel has come around for a reason, and they may end up being a lifetime friend. And we've already talked about those friends that we thought or think are lifetime friends, but really they're just here for an extended season, or they're continuing to be here or be there in your life because there's a reason why they're here in your life. And you just ain't got the reason yet. You ain't got your lesson, the blessing, or whatever it is that they were put into your life for you to glean from them, or for you to give, bless, teach that other person. And so sometimes that reason, it may not just be a singular thing. It may not just be in passing. It may not just be a one day thing. So as you're building your vision, there will be people that fall into these different categories that will fall into those different places. And when it comes time to separate, I would say that the biggest thing is when someone is hindering your vision, that is a cue. Okay. That's a cue for you may possibly need to move on. There are many ways that somebody can contribute to your life, contribute to your vision, but I find it to be easiest um, when you're looking for ways of how someone is contributing, because everyone isn't contributing to your life in the same way. I have found it far easier, for me at least, to identify those that were being a hindrance, a block, or literally like pulling me back and pulling me away from achieving my vision and getting my goals and milestones done on the path to achieving my vision. So other things that you may need to move on from are people, are using your resources wisely. So when we're looking at the resources that we have, whether it be the most important time, money, people, um, that surround you or that you have worked for, resources that you have created or have access to, it is not fair to you or anyone else in your life to keep in company and stay connected to those who are wasting the resources you have. And again, let's go back to that most valuable resource being your time. Once it's gone, you ain't getting it back. You know, once your time is gone, it's gone. So that's something that it don't matter how rich you get, how much money you make, how many resources other people give you, how many rooms you're able to walk into. Once your time is gone, it is gone. And so with that being your most valuable resource, when you are wasting that, okay, I'm going to go slightly spiritual here for a second. When you're wasting your God-given time, okay, look, I need you to think about what you're doing. And even, if God ain't your thing, good for you. Whatever is your higher power, whoever, whatever it is that you believe in, the universe, the whomever, okay? There is a finite amount of time that you have here physically on earth to get your life's vision completed, to pursue it, to live in your purpose. When you have people that are surrounding you, or it could just be one person, because sometimes, one person wastes a whole lot of our time. Come on, somebody. Okay. There can be one person around that's wasting a whole lot of your time, not pouring back into you. They're not bringing anything back into your life that is positive. They not a reason. They here for too many seasons, and hopefully you ain't gonna have them staying up in your space for a lifetime, wasting your lifetime. All right. So, with that, you want to make sure that you're using your resources in the most valuable way that you can. When you identify that there are people who are around you that may be wasting your time, money, efforts, energy, any of that, opportunities, any of that, it'll be time to have a conversation so that you can bring this to light, communicate about it, set up some boundaries. But remember, those boundaries are for you. They're not to control the other person, but set up some boundaries, some new ones around how your resources will be used. And then finally, if you get to the point where, everybody can't go, then yeah, it's going to hurt, but sometimes you got to go ahead and break away. And remember, just because this person isn't your friend, like in the same capacity, that does not make them your enemy. That does not automatically make them your enemy. Even if they mad at you for you letting them go or you putting some boundaries around the time that you spend together, the resources of yours that they have access to. If they want to make an enemy out of you, that still don't mean that they have to be your enemy. Just because they may have a chip on their shoulder, that doesn't mean that you have to. You get to choose. You get to choose whether or not you look at this former friend as an enemy or just that, a former friend, an associate, someone that you know, or someone that you used to know. I'm not about to start singing that song, but just know it's playing in my head. And so the next thing that I wanted to point out, and I talked about it a little bit, when you're talking about moving on from people, just remember, as you're growing and moving up, leveling up, moving throughout life, you may be going to rooms and places that these other people can't go with you. There may be limited access to these rooms and spaces that you're going into. The people that you're around, they may not even be qualified. They don't just let everybody in everywhere. There's been talk online of a couple of different like clubs or whatever. I hear there's a club in Atlanta. It was for everybody. They tried to make it exclusive for them. It didn't work out or whatever. They didn't necessarily like do a good analysis of who could go. And that's one of those. They created a place, a space where everybody couldn't come up in there. Everybody couldn't go. Think about a lot of the brands that you guys like to wear, a lot of the places that we like to go. There's only so many seats in first class. Yeah, everybody can fly first class. Everybody can fly business class. Everybody has access to all of these different airlines, to the premium airline. Just like everybody can ride on Spirit and Frontier. I said Spirit. Don't judge me, y'all. But just like everybody can ride on Spirit and Frontier, everybody has access to the Deltas of the world, the Singapore Airlines of the world, the Emirates of the world. However, on each one of them planes, there is a limited number of tickets for who about to sit in first class, who about to sit in Delta One, if the plane even got Delta One, and who's about to sit in the class that's above first class. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it because that's not the point. But in these different rooms and places and spaces, there is not room for everybody. One, because everybody wasn't meant to go. Everybody wasn't meant to be there. Everybody is not qualified to be there. And at the end of the day, are you giving up your spot in a place that you have worked to be, in a place that you are qualified to go, in a place where you are welcomed, and in a place where you are celebrated as opposed to tolerated, simply because you are attached to someone or someones who do not have that access, do not have that favor, and perhaps may not have that privilege. And I don't mean privilege in terms of entitlement. I mean privilege because you worked and you earned that. There are some privileges that come with a certain level of work, a certain level of grind, a certain level of motivation and execution with tangible results. There are different rooms and places where you can and will end up that those that didn't put in enough work, they didn't put in the work with you, they didn't do what they needed to do to make sure that they had their own access card, and your access card ain't working for both of y'all. And again, that's one of those spaces where you may have to get comfortable with somebody may be calling you an enemy, But just because they are not your friend does not make them your enemy. And if they choose to focus on having that type of energy for you, that's good for them. And even though it's related to you, it ain't got nothing to do with you. You could go ahead and let them feel that. You need to focus on what your forward movement and trajectory is. The next thing that I thought of when I was reading this quote was the part where it says that I want the best for you. And that made me think like, okay, I do want the best for you. Even though, we may have to separate, we're going on different paths, we're doing different things. I do want the best for you, but that don't mean that I'm the best thing for you. I ain't the best friend for you. I'm not the best homie for you. I ain't the best, well, I can tell y'all now, I ain't the best party friend for you no more. We was the 10 at club on a regular. You talking about Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sometimes a Monday. And if it was a good Taco Tuesday with some margaritas or some tequila shots on sale, all right, y'all know I'm not having my pass from y'all. Go ahead, scroll through my Insta. It's still there. And I'm not erasing it. I'm not taking it down because that's what really happened, okay? I'm real. I am a real person. I didn't just come out like, yes, I have a refined message for you. I had to go through the go through, okay? Cue Kanye through the fire. Shout out to Kanye. That man has been through the fire. Ooh, okay, anyway, we're not going to go on that side note. But just because I may have been the best person for you, the best friend for you, the best associate, business partner, best whomever for you remember that reason, season, lifetime. I may have come into your life for a reason, just like you may have come into mine for a reason. And once that reason has been achieved, once that season has completed, I may no longer be the best fit to stay in community with you in that capacity, to stay in relationship with you at a certain capacity. And that's okay. That's okay. Because sometimes when we're trying to hold on to that thing so tough, trying to hold on to that relationship or that bond, once the time has expired, you just causing more damage. You causing more damage trying to hold on. If a rope is snatching out your hand, it don't take for it to be snatching so fast before your hands is gonna be toe up and raw. It's because you need to let it go. And when you refuse to let it go, yeah, you can hang on to it for longer than what you were meant to hang on to it for, but it's gonna cut you up. It's gonna tear up your hands. And during that healing process, you ain't gonna be able to open up your hands to receive the blessings that you were supposed to receive. You're not going to be able to use your hands to do the work that you were supposed to be doing, to do the building that you were supposed to be doing, because you're still trying to heal the wounds from something that you should have let go of, but you wouldn't open up your hands. You wouldn't let the friend go. You wouldn't let the social group go. You wouldn't let the habit go. You wouldn't let the old version of you go. The next thing, I got a couple more thoughts here for y'all, and then I'm going to let y'all be. So when we're doing that thing about holding on to each other, let me get my little note down. We may actually be holding one another back. The same way that I was talking about those different rooms that you may have access to, but the other person may not. Do you want to be that person that you're not qualified yet, or you need to do a little bit more work, or you aren't quite ready, but somebody's steady waiting around for you? And so now you're holding your so-called friend, somebody that you say that you care about. You say you want the best for them, but you're holding them back from their next level, or from going into that next room, or from taking that next opportunity. You don't want to be that person to someone else. And so if and when someone expresses to you that they need that separation, or they need a new set of boundaries, don't take it in a way that you like, you know what? We'll bump you in. You was always, and then insert, say a bunch of hurtful stuff here that was unnecessary in the first place. Insert, like, oh, you were never real anyway, da 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 da. really take a step back. And, we talk about it around here all the time. Making sure that you're doing that self-assessment, that self-reflection to really look at when they're trying to take that next step. If you are not ready, that is okay. You're racing you. We not racing each other and trying to see who's going to get to the finish line first. You weren't competing with them before. So why would you look at it as competition now, or look at it as that person is better than you, so they're leaving you behind because they don't want nothing to do with you? No, sometimes people gonna have to go on. And when you're ready and you can meet them there, why go ahead and burn a whole bridge that doesn't have to be burnt because you're not ready? Now, we can hope that other people will do the same thing when it's time for us to go ahead and level up and move to that next room, next opportunity to take that step up. We can hope that others will extend to us that same grace and understanding. But since we can't make people do nothing, we just gonna focus on us. And we gonna focus on what we can do for self. And making sure that if you're on the receiving end of someone needing to break away and move along, don't take that don't take it like a slap in the face. Like, really look at it. If you've been a cheerleader, keep being a cheerleader. You just may not be shaking pom-poms next to them. You might be on the sideline cheering for them while you still getting ready. They might be ready for varsity. If you still on JV, you still on your way to varsity when you get done putting in your work. It's nothing wrong with you still being there when you're doing your own race at your own pace. And then shoot, the other thing you can do is let them go ahead and motivate you, especially if they're willing to go ahead and reach back and extend their hand to pull you up with them. They're doing you a favor by not leaving you there and letting you do your race at your own pace by yourself. Because they may know enough about you to know that you'll slow down to a snail's trot. So just take a look at those things, that if you are behind or you feel like you're being left behind, or that conversation does come to you, when you're doing that self-reflection and self-assessment, look and see if there are ways for you to ramp it up a little bit if you want to keep up and you want to go with, or if it's just not meant to be, it's not meant to be, and that's cool too. That is cool too. And then finally, the last thing that I wanted to point out to you all, and this goes both ways. When we're talking about everybody isn't allowed to every room, they're not allowed to partake in every opportunity. They're not allowed to sit at every table. Because the quote talked about building, they want to see you eat, just not at their table. Everybody's not going to be allowed at every table, just like all of those other things that I mentioned previously. And just a few things to take a look at, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm talking about myself. I be telling you, I be talking about myself. I have to take a look around. Yeah, I can be fun. I can be hype. I can be live. I can cool it down and be introspective with y'all when needed. I'm a shoulder to cry on. I'll be the best friend that you ever had. Will give you the shirt off my back. But one thing that I had to realize about myself, and unfortunately for me, it did come out in some unfortunate looking situations. I assume that when I go places, that because I'm wilding out somewhere, when it's time to sit at a certain table with 3 different wine glasses, your water glass, a teacup, all of that extra setup. Okay, they're going to bring out the food and courses. Yeah, I did what I needed to do to know which fork to pick up, to know which spoon to pick up. Stop eating that soup with a dessert spoon. What are you doing? But whose bad was that? I brought some of the wrong people with me, or tried to bring some of the wrong people with me. And there are gatekeepers at some of these opportunities, tables, rooms, that are straight up, they'll tell you like, oh yeah, this was per invite only. Your name was on the invite. It did not say +1. It did not say bring a guest. This was for you. So your company, your friend, your whomever you brought along with you who was not invited, either they can stand outside or both of you can stand outside. And right now, I'm not just talking about being invited to a party or being invited to dinner. And why do I just cut straight to it and say it that way? Because that was me. And I definitely got embarrassed out here a couple of times when somebody either gave me that nice little tap tap, they were courteous enough to quietly tell me, you were invited. You, singular, just me, not in them. But because I wanted to bring in them along, I got that tap on the shoulder. And there have also been times where right at the door, it's like, oh, yeah, no, by invite only. This was your invitation. And I had a choice to make. I ain't gonna cap y'all. There were times where I did choose to go ahead and be like, oh, well, my friends can't go. I'm not going to go either. Instead of making the wise decision to take my invite, go to the room or the place that I needed to go, learn what I needed to learn, and then make an attempt to bring it back to the wolf pack, to bring it back to the group. I was so worried about the camaraderie of the entire group that I was being useless by not taking that step out on my own. And being able to step up into more of a leadership role that I could have been in, or into a step up onto that next level that I could have stepped up onto. Because I was worried about leaving the group behind. And at the end of the day, it felt good right then. It felt noble. It felt loyal. But in the long run, it didn't serve me. And it also didn't serve my group or my community, because there was valuable resources and information that someone had access to that could have been used for the greater good of everybody, of the collective. So sometimes that decision, this seems like it's selfish, that decision to go ahead and go alone, that decision to go alone doesn't mean that you're only thinking about self. Because if you're the only one invited, you're the only one who qualifies to go there. The onus is kind of on you to get some more work done, unfortunately. Good work and effort is rewarded with more work. So sometimes that will be your job. And you have to take a look at those people who didn't get an invite of their own. Again, we're talking about, are they qualified? Do they have the coof, the manners, the skills? Do they have the drive, the ambition, or even the desire to be in that room, to put in the work that needs to be put in for them to get the same type of invitation, the same seat at that table, the same invitation to that room, the same access to an opportunity? Or does it belong to you because it is a fruit of your labor? And if it is, don't give that thing away, so that you're not wasting your time. Those who are able to help you to your next level, that you're not wasting their time. And those who are behind you that do desire to get to that next level that you're supposed to be stepping into, so that you're in position to help those who are supposed to step up as well. That's all I got for y'all today. So I will see you guys next week. We have some things brewing behind the scenes for you guys, and we'll be back with interviews in a couple of weeks. I have a couple more topics that I want to touch on with you guys, just one-on-one, just me in your ear, just me on your screen. There's a couple more things that I want to break down with you guys, and then moving forward, we're going to be mixing this thing up a little bit. We'll make sure that we're getting those interviews for you guys, so that you don't always just have to hear me. And we'll go ahead and make sure to mix it up. I know some of you guys have told me that you were really enjoying these one-on-one type sessions where you just got me breaking some things down with you. we'll make sure that this doesn't end as well. I'll make sure that I'm providing both types of content for you guys so that you can go ahead and get your weekly dose. And so that I'm giving this to you guys in the format that you all like to hear. So, you guys let me know what you think about everything that you've heard today. Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments. Go ahead, shout me out, shameless plug. Go ahead and let me know what you think. If you have any questions, even if you just want to share your own story, you never know. I might jump in your DMs and give you that little tap tap because y'all already know how my Everybody Can't Go story went. We need to hear you guys as well because it's not just about the way it happened for me. I also want to hear from you all because this same thing is manifested in so many different ways in so many different people's lives. Everybody's story is important, and you never know how your story or your the way you've experienced this can help someone else. So make sure you go ahead and get in those comments. And if you're looking for more from us on a daily or weekly basis, you can also follow us on Instagram at Everybody Can't Go, the number 2. We'll see you guys next week.